It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Kylie.
Gilman.
Yep.
Horn. Yes. Neiman.
Here.
Underwood.
Here.
Katzen.
Here. Next item is approval of the agenda. We have a blue sheet with some requested amendments to the agenda. The first amendment is to item 7A, appointments, East Bay Township 3 Mile Trail Segment 1. And then addition of item K, which is the damaged signal equipment replacement, South Airport and Cass Road intersection due to a vehicle crash. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the two amendments. Motion by Commissioner Horn, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It passes. Do any of the commissioners have any conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda? Saying none. Public comment. We have quite a distinguished group of public present here today. I'm almost a little worried. We have our County Commissioner Darrell Nelson, our County Sheriff Mike Jay. We have the East Bay Township Supervisor Beth Provine. No way, Ms. Friend is here. Do any members of the public wish to make any public comment at this time? Okay. Oh,
Wow.
right. They're just here to observe.
They're hauling us away. I think.
It's all good, fatty wagon through.
Everybody ready? Okay, so we move on to item 7A, which is with the amendment is the East Bay Township 3 Mile Trail Segment 1. You all have in front of you a letter from Supervisor Friend with a map on the back of that letter. So please.
Thank you, Chairman. Board Commissioners, it's so good to see you here tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you and discuss the 3 Mile Trail in East Bay Township. Always enjoy working with all of you and particularly enjoy working with your staff. We've had some things where we're able to get her done, like the roundabout, right? With good results with that. Other things we've tried, town line road funding, and you're getting there, and but it wasn't quite the full collaboration or redo, but that's all right. So we look forward to always working with all of you. And tonight we talk about the 3 Mile Trail. You as the chairman mentioned, have the letter in front of you that we sent to you through Dan Watkins. And tonight we have Claire Carter, who's going to provide an overview for you. And then we have Sheriff Shea, who would like to make a comment. We have developer RC Herman, who would like to make a comment, and Commissioner Nelson, who would as well. And we have Tart here as a resource too, if you have any questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Claire and she'll go over the highlights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and I brought extra maps, but it looks like you all have them already. You have a copy of this?
We do.
Okay, perfect. So, as you're aware, the 3 Mile Trail extension that we've been working on for several years now, it's a 2 mile trail, and it's the plan is it's going to connect with the East Bay Safe Routes to School trail system. So it's a total of 4 miles of trail that we are within the next couple of years going to be having come online with some community connections. So the first phase, phase 1, you can see is just that short little segment. It's only 0.15 miles, but with the trust fund grant funding that East Bay Township was recently awarded, in 2025, we will be constructing phase 1 of that trail system, plus the trailhead, the parking lot. And so we just felt what a great opportunity and timing wise, since the road commission is going to be redoing 3 Mile Road in 2025. We've got the new trailhead coming in. We thought it was a great opportunity to put in a safe crossing at that parking location. You can see the crossing located on the map. So we have a few different crossing locations identified along 3 Mile. The majority of them would be future, pending future development. As maybe many of you are aware, the area just west of 3 Mile Road is anticipated for high density residential development in East Bay Township in the future. So we're really looking at that crossing. We've been just discussing it with staff, but we wanted to bring it to the road commission this evening for consideration. So I did want to highlight just throughout our planning process and through the public engagement, we've really heard over and over again the importance of the community connection. So not just the 3 Mile trail extension, but a really important component is getting connecting neighborhoods, connecting schools to safe access to the trail to make sure that those existing schools, neighborhoods can have safe access. So the crossing that we're looking at right now, it's a 1/4 mile from the existing South Airport and 3 Mile intersection. And it would provide a safe crossing option for the residents of Wood Creek, the manufactured housing community. As well, there's, existing Brookside apartments as well as new apartments being developed along South Airport Road. So without a safe sidewalk trail along South Airport, we anticipate that many people would be using this access through Wood Creek and then the crossing to access the new trailhead and future trail. So as well as George Street and Amy Street neighborhood across the street, we anticipate that they would cross South Airport, use the Wood Creek neighborhood to access the trail. We anticipate that this crossing would be like a rapid flashing beacon. So it'd be similar to the flashing crossing that the road commission is planning further south down 3 Mile Road as a part of the Safe Routes to School. There's a new crossing that's going to be right at St. Elizabeth Ann Street. So it's a push button and then it flashes. It's not actually a traffic control device where, like a hawk signal that you see on the parkway, but it's a rapid flashing beacon. The rapid flashing beacons are the study by the Federal Highway Federal Highway Administration, that they see 98% increase in compliance from vehicles to stop at those crosswalks compared with like a crosswalk where there is no light illumination. So I guess with that, just wanted to kind of bring this proposal. We're happy to answer questions for more discussion. We do have some speakers here that have offered to provide some perspective. So I'm happy to answer questions now or after our speakers, whatever your preference.
Thank you. I just have one question for Larry. Do we have this map that you can put up or do we only have a paper copy?
I don't, but I can pull up a map of the location if that's right.
Yeah, Claire, I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. On your map, the red, that's the actual phase 1 that is under construction. And then you said it indicates on the map where the crossing is going to be. I'm having a hard time figuring that out. If you can point that out to me.
Yeah, circle the red dot. It's this there.
I see. Okay.
Putting up parking.
As I get older, my eyesight.
Yeah, sure. Claire, is the parking lot part of phase 1?
Yeah, parking will be constructed as part of phase 1. In 2026, in coordination with Road Commission redoing of Hammond, is when all the 2 miles of safe routes infrastructure will be going in. And then we're looking at potentially 2026, 27 for the 3 Mile trail, for the remainder of the 3 Mile trail.
I'm sure we have questions, but I would like to give our sheriff and our county commissioner the opportunity first to make their comments, and then we'll
Thank you.
direct our question.
Mike Shaver and Travis County Sheriff.
I'm here obviously to support this and encourage you strongly to look at agreeing with this crosswalk and the signage and lighting. I think it goes without reason to assume that as a vehicle driver, if you're driving down the road and you have a high residential area on the west side of the road and one that is already there on the left to some degree, and randomly people can be crossing the road once you provide a pathway north and south that does not exist currently, it could be a hazard. Whereas if we have something that is making you aware that there is potential pedestrian traffic up ahead, you are going to logically slow down and be aware. And I can use the analogy of the parkway where they have done everything under the sun, everyone, to try and make that safer because people are just randomly crossing the parkway to get to the beach. It's very dangerous. 31 North, it's very dangerous. And where we, from law enforcement, see it, there's people trying to run across the road at just any designated area, halfway, and then they stand there and then they try and make it the rest of the way. 3 Mile is not quite like 31 North. However, same principle applies. As a motor vehicle operator, you are to pay attention to signage. If you know there's a potential pedestrian crossing ahead, you should be taking extra precaution. And it just stands to reason. It makes sense. I believe it will be safer, and I strongly encourage you to do it.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Commissioner.
Comments, Commissioner?
My comments are more general in nature, just that in agreement with the sheriff, the safety of this area, I believe over the next 10 years is really going to grow. And with the schools there's what, three schools there with Olson's, everything else. There's just a lot of activity, and with more residences and residential units in that area, we're going to have more kids and bikes and crossing, and with the trail. So I just conceptually want to support anything you guys can do to help with this. I know there's always budget considerations. I understand that, but getting in on this early, having us be a part of the plan in any way you guys can do it, I think it's a great idea. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, the chair is going to recognize Commissioner Gilman.
All right. I've got
Mr.
a
Chair.
number of questions.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Just a minute, please. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, my name is R.C. Herman. I'm the developer of Wood Creek. And this proposed crossing comes directly in the Buttermilk Loop, which is our access to 3 Mile Road. If you may recall, the Wood Creek opened in 1999, and at the time it was billed out as a empty nester community, which it is today. But this is now 20 years later. So people who moved in when they were in their 50s and 60s are now in their 70s and 80s. They walk our streets a lot, all day long. They're always looking for a place to walk. When the trails are completed, I'm sure they will be heavily used by our residents. The problem is that there's a safety one crossing 3 Mile Road. When you're in your 70s, your mind works slower and your body works a lot slower. And I can testify to that. I'm 77. And a light at that particular crosswalk would be a tremendous safety benefit for our owners. So we have 210 home sites in Wood Creek, and I would gamble that probably 3/4 of them would be using that crossing. So,
Thank you. Are there any other comments, initial comments before the board asks questions? Okay, seeing none, the chair recognizes Commissioner Gilman.
All right. Okay. Well, Mr. Herman answered kind of one of the questions. Does Wood Creek know they're going to have people walking through the development itself? And this is not really, I mean, for us, it shouldn't have that much. It shouldn't make that much of a difference just as a citizen though. I mean, do your people know that you're gonna have people walking through theoretically from South Airport? Are there any plans for a trail system down South Airport to cross at South Airport and 3 Mile?
I can speak to that.
Because I mean, that would be a logical location, being there's a light there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a high priority trail that we have been working with Road Commission and have been in talks. Part of the challenge is that with the South Airport planned expansion, I think for 2027, it's going to be 3 lanes. And so that leaves basically no right of way for a trail. So we're looking at different options. But after just going through the Safe Routes to School process of private easements, and there's a ton of people along there, their lots are pretty shallow. And so there are definitely some challenges with the trail there. It's definitely part of our plan, but in terms of timing, it could be kind of a longer range.
okay. The parking lot, you're gonna have the parking lot. I know that the property there, I sold the property several years ago. That's kind of an interesting spot. Have we gone through with engineering about the parking lot and a drive and how that's going to be configured? And what is the ask? When you say, cooperation with the road commissioner, what's the ask from us? What do you expect the road commission to do for this project?
So I can answer first with the parking design and engineering. We've been working with OHM, has been doing the trail design. So OHM also designed the parking lot and has been also working closely with road commission staff on kind of has been involved in those discussions and kind of reviewing preliminary design. In terms of the ask, we were hoping that you would consider rolling the crossing into the upcoming project for the 3 Mile reconstruction.
Okay, have we established any cost or modification expenses on this?
Yeah, we should have some sort of quantities together an estimate based on their quantities, considering some of the contract unit prices we already have, as well as some items that we do not currently have in the contract.
Right, we're talking extra curb cut.
Yep.
Right.
It came up to about $27,000 for curb markings and the sidewalks and traffic.
All right. Okay. Have you spoken to the state police at all about doing a traffic study and what they would recommend as far as, so right now we're 55 from the South Airport south, right? I mean, that's 55. In terms of whether or not there should be speed adjustment, whether or not we're going to have to put some new signage in. I mean, they still do the speed, recommendations. Have you worked with anybody on that yet?
We haven't yet, and that's a really good point. And I think just with some of the new legislation, and I'm not familiar with kind of the new process for going through and having the speed limits reviewed, but that.
Commissioner Gilman, if I might.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned with the speed limits, the township has traditionally been reluctant to ask Michigan State Police to review speeds because in the past, when you've done that, oftentimes they've elevated the speed limit. And we certainly don't want to see that happen in the area. I do realize there's been a change in statute, but that is relatively recent. So we haven't investigated that part. As far as the safety of it and the requirement of it and, keeping people safe, we truly rely not on the Michigan State Police, but in talking with Sheriff Shea and in TART, who has been involved with doing them along US 31 with MDOT and in other places. So, and obviously with the Road Commission as well, too.
Good enough.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Underwood.
Good question. At 3 Mile and Ham, are we putting crosswalks in when you do that intersection?
Yeah, I think
So there will be crosswalks there. And then what's the negative traffic flow with a crosswalk and for South Airport.
A mid-block crossing, that's always a concern.
I'm sorry, what?
A mid-block crossing is always a concern. If you can cross at signal, that's usually the greatest, but I mean, if we're gonna have people crossing there regardless, we create a safe crossing through.
1,500 feet.
And then in the southern part here, looks like you got to cross right at the bottom of the hill. That sounds about right, right there coming up for one of the two schools. That gonna be further back than the bottom of the hill. You know, you go down the little dip, you got the junior high on the one side and I can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
You talking on Hammond?
No, I'm talking further down on Fremont. They've got one.
those. That's Township Hall. Those
They've got one
ones in
past
there.
Township Hall. How far down is that from that hill?
I have not viewed those. We haven't got
Yeah.
anything, so I have no idea.
Yeah, so I know that, I think when we were working on that, Prine and Newhoff was our engineering firm, and so they were working with, I think, Wayne Schoonover more closely on kind of the
So we have, I
engineering
got,
piece.
I just, I'm
Yeah.
concerned of the placement.
Yeah.
Far enough south,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
yeah,
I mean, this space that they accelerate
yeah.
very fast coming off of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, it's gonna be a shift and a change in behavior. People are not used to seeing crossing, they're not used to seeing students as a part of the Safe Routes to School. We do have some kind of funding that's non-infrastructure funding, so it's programming. So part of that is working with our community police officers, having crossing guard, kind of getting people used to that crossing and proper using it properly.
Okay, thanks.
Chair,
How many
any other
vehicles
question being made?
are going to be, how many vehicle spaces are there in the parking lot at the end of proposed phase one?
Maybe 4, roughly.
I have some real concerns about mid-block crossings with the road rage we see in town. People are speeding from one spot to the other, and I don't think, I would much rather see the crossing personally at South Airport. I wouldn't like this at all. Although I understand the parking lot is there. But I don't think for drivers, and I do think our primary focus is we're the road commission. And I think we have serious traffic capacity problems around town. And we're unable to fund much in that area. So making people go slower on these areas of roads, I think are gonna lead our lead. There's just a lot of road rage around town. You just have to drive a little bit to find people are wanting to run you over. I mean, maybe I drive slower than I used to, but I usually drive the speed limit and I'm constantly passed and veered off because I'm only going 55. And then there's the cost. We've already budgeted, planned, and bid the project. You want to pay, you want East Bay Township will pay for this if we agree to this, right?
Well, the request is, we would, of course, love to see it enveloped into your project. But I think the biggest concern that we have is we would like to come to an agreement on what a safe crossing is, where a safe crossing is at. Budgetary numbers, particularly when they're at this level, can always be worked out. There can always be foundations, grants, and as well as collaborative funding and so forth. So yeah, so we're looking at that now. To your point about the location, I think that we also think that at the light is a great location. Unfortunately, we've had several engineers on the line together, OHM. I think road commission was there at one point and looking at, okay, and definitely TART, with where the people are and where the trail infrastructure is going to be, what is the best, safest place to cross them, given, the projects that are going on. As Claire mentioned, the availability to get easements and so forth. So we would not want to leave them with no place to get across. So we are picking, it's not a perfect world. And so we are picking the best possible place that we can.
Oh, that's Commissioner Corn, and then I'll circle back to you.
My question, Jason had already asked, which was the scope of the ask, but if we were to put, sorry, we've got to look up the rectangular rapid flashing beacon. We then own that and maintain it, right? Like, we do that with anything that we put in. Whether they pay for it or not, it becomes part of our world of maintenance or no. I don't know.
I don't know, potentially if they want to work on a maintenance agreement with us for them.
And this is a 55-mile-an-hour stretch, so I don't think the speed will be increased. I mean, I think the traffic study is a good suggestion. I don't know. I mean, I like the trail a lot, and I understand that it's broken into phases, and I understand why phase 1 is where it is and why the parking lot is where it is. And I understand that in the finished product, it will make a lot more sense. Right now, it seems to me that it's really the 210 units of Wood Creek that benefit from the crossing at this time. And there could be, I mean, I see you have a future connector there, which is nice on the west side of the 3 Mile, and it would, you know, make sense just to have a little connector down to South Airport for them, and rather than, but I understand you've broken up your phases for a reason, the way that they are, and that's planned. So that bridge is, or that ship has sailed, but I guess my question would just be what a decision by the road commission implies for us in maintenance and things like that, cost of maintenance. I think that's really the scope of what we do. We don't build trails. It's not our job to critique your trail. But we do have to maintain and take care of the items that are affiliated with the road. So
that's a question for us.
yeah, the rapid flashing beacon. Do we even have any here, and do we take care of them? And I don't know the answer to that.
The only ones we don't have any, but Interlochen First Academy did some under permit when their existing flasher was destroyed in a crash a couple years ago.
Okay.
So,
And this is like the thing on the Parkway, right? By Hotel Indigo and all of that.
No, that's a little different. That's on red line.
So this one is not as complicated or
No.
expensive then.
No,
Okay.
it's a-
I just wasn't sure what that was, but, yeah.
Commissioner Underwood
And
first, and then
It
Commissioner.
just
Gill.
has to do with our project there on South Airport. Is that gonna be right away side, so we're taking the whole thing for no additional space?
It's
on either
pretty
side?
tight through there, the 3 lanes, pretty much, but that's gonna be curved most likely.
Okay, to fit within there so that we can.
Yeah, look at that as an MPO project.
Bet there isn't a parking lot right on the corner there.
So we'd
for
have to go
everyone.
straight 4 feet on one side if they want to do it. With all this.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna get right away from.
Commissioner Gilman.
You know, my jaw dropped the first time I heard that the 20-mile-per-hour roundabout speeds is just a suggestion. And, you know, it was an Acme township meeting that I heard that the deputy said, yeah, it's 55 through there, it's 55 through there. The reason I bring that up is because, so we're talking flashing lights, and people, maybe they're working a little slower later in life and everything, assume that the cars are supposed to stop when that flashing light's going off or whatever. And I've seen people just step out into traffic in spots where, you know, legally the traffic doesn't have to stop. And or even stop spots where, you know, somebody's coming up behind them and somebody slows down, they don't know why they're slowing down, they go around them. And right there, somebody may assume that a car is slowing down to turn into Wood Creek. And so somebody goes and blows by them, and there's some, you know, somebody walking across. To me, it's just kind of a scary scenario potentially. You know, I mean, you got to think of the worst, because the worst does oftentimes happen. You know, if we do something like this, would it be wise we have signs that traffic may not stop, or I'm not even sure that even solves the second part of that problem. That's my other concern anyway. So,
So I have a couple of questions and a couple of observations. The question first is, if my understanding is correct, the 3 Mile project, isn't it some sort of federal grant project?
Partially, state,
It's a state, I thought it was some sort of a Fed
state,
$375,000.
state grant. So if the request is to envelop this crossing into the project, are we even able to change the scope of the project? Given the fact that this project, I mean, what, it was bid out like, it was approved like 2 years ago, I believe, because we delayed this. This was supposed to happen last year, and then because of the Grandview Parkway construction, we pushed it out to 2025. Everything is all set. The contracts are all set. First question is, from a purely time standpoint and ability standpoint, can that scope of the project even be amended?
I did talk with the owners, they said they could add that into the project. We didn't ask it as if we were doing adding it on, we asked if the township added this on at the same time, if they could do it, and I said yes.
Okay, and the estimate of that you provided 27,000, whose estimate is it? OHM's or L?
I just use they just gave me the quantities, they didn't provide the estimate, I just went through the quantities or the items we had in the contracts that were in here. And utilized, averaging of prices from jobs we've done previously to kind of fill that out to come to the estimate for the project.
But have we, but we haven't obviously confirmed those numbers with the actual contractor, with Elmer's, to see if, because there have been occasions where their price comes higher than our estimate based upon a variety of factors. So, the second question is there any precedence of us adding onto a pedestrian crossing onto our projects after it has been bid and approved and everything has been done? Or would this be first time we would be doing something like this?
First time I'm aware of. I mean, technically, we usually stay away from sidewalks, so we're creating sidewalks, takes responsibility for it.
Okay.
And we try to stay with roads.
My third question is to the East Bay Township. When planning this trail, was there a consideration given at that point as to the issues that you have raised today in terms of pedestrian safety? In other words, why now? Why not at the beginning part of when this trail was being
Yeah,
designed?
so at the beginning, when we first kind of designed the layout of that trail, the crossings, the proposed crossings that you see on there were all part of the plan. So I think, when TART did the cost estimates, the whatever million that we have right now for the total trail, those feeder connections were not part of the cost estimate, but they've always been, those community connections have always been a really high priority that we've heard from our community engagement process, and a desire to get these to feed into the trail and get safely to the trail. So we've always had them on the trail. In terms of why now, I think part of it is just, us being like, oh, wow, Road Commission is doing the project right now. We've got the funding for the trailhead right now, and so kind of realizing that the timing aligns, that it would make a lot of sense to do it right now as opposed to in a year or so.
And then the location of the crossing, being that it's, I think you said about a quarter mile from the intersection of South Airport and 3 Mile. Is there a particular reason why that particular location has been selected and why not further?
Yeah, so the part of the reason is we have a couple other future crossings, but that location is just given that it's kind of aligns right up with the trailhead as well as this existing community. We've also found, if someone has to walk a quarter mile, kind of backtrack to an intersection and then another quarter mile to get back,
they're gonna want to run across.
People aren't gonna walk more than a quarter mile to access a safe crossing. So that's kind of based on just research and human behavior that we found.
So it's interesting, you said that there are additional crossings planned for that stretch between South Airport and Hammond. Given that the speed limit right now is 55, wouldn't that create some traffic issues, flow issues, if there are additional crossings planned?
You know, I think that's something that we'll need to look closely at through traffic studies. Right now, there's not a demand or a need for it, but we have, you know, potentially up to 12 to 15 units per acre future development on those properties. So we could potentially see hundreds of new residential units of people wanting to access the other side of the road. And so I think, you know, at that time, we would be looking closely at traffic studies, and likely a developer would be responsible for some cost sharing to provide those amenities for residents.
So, from my standpoint, I am obviously all in favor of increasing pedestrian safety and making sure that the people who are using the trail, who are crossing the road, are given the tools to cross safely. Obviously, none of us in this room anywhere can be responsible for bad behavior. That's why the sheriff, he stays busy, with those types of issues. Signs only go so far, like the sheriff stated, as I think the purpose of the signs mainly is that from a law enforcement standpoint, if someone ignores them and runs down someone, obviously, from a prosecution standpoint, there is a much higher ability to do that. Having said that, I do have some significant concerns about the road commission being asked to fund that. And so if the township, through its partnerships with different stakeholders in the community, is able to raise 27,000 or whatever the final amount is, then that's great. I think at this point, given the demands that we have upon our budget for meeting purely keeping our roads maintained and our local roads and the significant pressure that we are constantly under to make sure that our roads are kept placed, it would be extremely difficult for us to put up $27,000 or however much it is towards a non-vehicular project. So that's my comments. Like I said, I'm all in favor if it can be done to include this into our project. That's great. We're all for it. I don't believe I would be able to support us funding it. And that probably is my comment.
I just have one other.
Go ahead.
Before we put a crossing like this on a primary road that sees a lot of traffic, I'd really like, I'm of course for safe pedestrian crossings, safe alternate vehicle crossings, the bike paths we've been big supporters of, even though we don't usually fund them. I'd really like to have a traffic expert tell us what it's going to do, breaking up our corridors into these traffics. If we have to get WSP or somebody who's the best in traffic flows, I'd like to see us do that. If we want to do it after somebody has looked at it and told me that that's okay, and there's going to be another one down here, or should we consider just keeping these at intersections, and that's how it's going to have to be? And I don't have any confidence that this is going to lead to safer vehicle driving or safer pedestrian crossings. I personally do.
When is our project slated to begin?
Right when school gets out of this mid-June.
Mid-June.
So let me ask this hypothetical. Given Commissioner Lehman's concerns, let's say hypothetically speaking, this sidewalk, this pedestrian crossing gets put in after the completion of a project. Is there going to be an increase in costs to the township and anyone else?
It would be, because if owners are there, we already paid for the mobilization costs, and they can tie it into the project. I don't know, it'd be a huge amount, but it'd probably be a little.
There is a drive almost exactly across from the Woodland Creek access there. And, if there's going to be a parking lot there, have we pulled a parking or a driveway permit and parking lot, for the parking lot at this point yet? And if that's the case, then there's gonna be a curb cut there. So I could see where it wouldn't take much after the fact, if the curb cut at least is already there on the east side of the road, or the, the east side of 3 Mile Road. To modify, I just,
A culvert there. And
yeah, I mean, there's a culvert there, there is a culvert there, I know, I planted that.
So are you saying we should have them think about putting the curb cut down? Burying a conduit for the signal, and perhaps get a traffic expert to help us look at this?
If OHM has drawn up some plans for you, they undoubtedly have some preliminary driveway location for the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're using the back entrance to the parking lot as well, or if you're just gonna close that off.
Just one on Ill.
Okay.
That's true.
I mean, it would make sense to then plan the curb cut coinciding, and it wouldn't cost us anything else, I can't imagine, other than the curb work, and if it for what, a couple $1,000s max. I wouldn't have a problem with that. And then I tend to, it's like, I think we need to really kind of examine though, the parking lot's a great idea. People park and they take the trail and they go either which way they want to do. They want to see the deer and the outside of the airport, they can walk that way and, see the schools in the other direction, or frankly, take their nature walk through there. It's actually beautiful back there.
Are you suggesting the curb cut fee for the parking lot be placed at the time of the project?
Yeah, I think so.
But what about, we would probably have to lay down some electrical infrastructure for this flashing beacons, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be, that would,
A lot of those are solar.
Solar,
now.
yeah, they're all solar.
okay,
Yeah.
so that would be all. So what would the installation of the curb cut, how is that related to the installation of the pedestrian crossing?
Well, I mean, they're talking about putting the parking lot there anyway.
Right.
Okay. If it was done in such a way that it's wide enough that can accommodate the the additional walkway.
Oh, so you mean light that up with the,
Open it up in that way. I mean, like you do a corner. Have the corner and then have the curb cut for the drive.
and then you'll just have to come in and put the lines markings down?
Yeah, then that would be pretty much what would be left to do, assuming that it all works out okay.
Yes.
I'm concurrent with talents. I need more information.
Well, and I think we can't make any decisions tonight.
Absolutely concurrent with Alan, because I'm very much a pro, do it at the light. Because the traffic's already stopped.
We
I-
traditionally fund and build crosswalks and
And
lights, right?
Yep.
We do, and I'm just
Part of the-
trying to run through my head. Have we funded or built any crosswalks for other trail crossings on road commission roads? I'm just trying to wrap it in my head.
I think Supervisor Beth was gonna make some comment when I was talking about the funding part. I thought I saw your hand
I was
up.
just wanted to make a couple
Sure.
comments. One, as far as the number of crossings and locations, as we mentioned, one of the reasons that we picked OHM to do the design of the 3 Mile Trail was the integration with the road commission. At the time, the road commission was using OHM at a very high level. And we knew that they would have all of the pertinent traffic counts and, locations and where the best crossings are and so forth. So again, when they've gone through and they've designed this trail, they put those crossings in mind. And where they have suggested is the one that we are suggesting. The other ones, there's not many more. There is one that we've perceived, the one that we're talking about today, it does serve Wood Creek, but as Claire mentioned, it also serves, there's a lot of apartments to the west of Wood Creek, and we do see those people use them as well. We have the developer who owns those apartments. He also has hotels up on US 31 North. And he's told us, does he have about 100?
About 100 people there.
About 100 employees, and he does have many of them. The 100 live there, or 100 commute there on foot or bike.
That's what he said. 100.
Okay, so he has quite a number who are commuting to their job from those apartments. So that was definitely one location. The other one, where they're mentioned in future development, that one with the trail design that they're looking at, this trail is going to go right into the Grand Traverse Regional Lake Conservancy property. And they have a trailhead parking lot as you go into their property up to the right. And Bill Klaus has been looking at, and he's not yet to the planning commission, right, with the most current project, but looking at some high density residential on the west side of the road. And so that's where, in letting OHM know that that development is coming down the pike, that's where they're looking at a future one there. We're not asking for that one to be put in because we don't know, developments are sometimes approved and then they don't happen. So, and that would be done with the developer and at their expense. So those are the two that we're looking at.
Sure.
And again, those are through the design engineers of OHM in recognition of the number of traffic, the speed, the location of the land uses, all of those things. The other thing was just with the funding. Obviously, I'm going to, like you would if you were in front of my board, I'm going to ask for it to be enveloped, and that would be wonderful. And I did see that you did well on your budget and you have some extra from last year. And so of course we will ask for that. But really the main crux of what we would like to come to an agreement upon is that yes, there's a crossing there, and that if we can reach that funding level, however that is, right? Money is money. We can figure out how to piece that together. That yes, you would be supportive of enveloping, that into the project with the funding component figured out.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
What information is the board looking for that would assist us in making a decision in the future?
I would like to see
So that
how they expect to, how a traffic expert expects the crossings to affect the vehicular flow on those roads. And then was gonna ask Mr. Herman is, so if the crossing does go there because it's safe and we can find a place to pay for it, are the people who are riding the trail going to be allowed to use Wood Creek as a pass through to the next place? I mean, they're going to come out and use this crossing in the trail. Are the people in the trail going to be able to access other areas through the Wood Creek properties? Do you feel?
I do not think that'd be a problem.
Okay.
Our seniors need something to do.
Okay.
And I like that very much, sir. Thank you.
So Commissioner Lehman would like to see some sort of a traffic study review on the flow, on the impact on the flow
And whether they really are safer there.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
My question is still more internal. It's not as involved with them, but in the grand scheme of the trail network, I like the road crossings, but my question is that the job of the road commission? Are we going to be placing crossing everywhere we've got a pretty great trail network already, but it's expanding a lot if you look at the plans for each of the individual townships. So if that's part of what our road commission is going to be doing, what are the parameters of that? I guess I just don't even know. Is this the first of its kind? Have we ever done this? In the future, will we be doing more trail crossings on the roads? I'm having a hard time grasping what our role is in this and what's our appropriate place to vote or not.
Well, I think, my question about precedence seems like that there isn't one.
Okay.
We, like you said, we have historically placed those crossings at the traffic signals. And so there is no precedence here.
Leelanau County has a lot of it. I can think of a million in Leelanau County. So I'm just asking, what's our role?
As I said earlier, I am not that hung up on whether we are going to put this here or would it be something that will be the first time doing it. again, I go back to the funding piece of it. And so, I understand Supervisor Friend, you're gonna ask for it. And I don't hold that against you. I cannot in good conscience, allocate road commission funds for any sort of, non-vehicular
We'll figure out. Fun.
infrastructure.
Have one.
But there are 5 commissioners.
If
I'm only
you can
one
help me
vote.
understand. Are we gonna own a bunch of these crossings, just like we own a bunch of culverts and guardrails and traffic lights? That's my question, so.
So I can speak just to the maintenance piece, like
Yeah.
part of the Safe Routes to School when, MDOT and, Michigan Fitness Foundation awarded the money. That was contingent on the township providing the long-term maintenance of that, and so, as you know, a lot of that is within, the trail is in road commission right of way. However, township is maintaining it, same with the
Sure.
3 mile trail. There's maintenance is built into the budget, so I would think, from my perspective, maintenance of those rapid flashing beacon would be a part of. like,
When
the
a
whole
car drives
trail
off the
that's
road
on
and hits it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I say
Because they
funding, my use of the term funding includes installation and future maintenance. So,
Yeah.
so just to be clear.
Like what becomes part of our inventory and what's part of the
Yeah,
trail
yeah,
inventory?
no.
Kind of like the school crossings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's appropriate to ask at the beginning before you get into.
Commissioner Gilman, you
I do want to circle back
Question.
to just to clarify. We are widening the road on 3 Mile to what point, or is it pretty much going to be all the way to Hammond?
It will not be all the way to Hammond. It's from Hammond.
How far past Wood Creek is that going to be wide?
It will not be wide in that piece
No,
there.
it's not
Okay.
like that.
It's up
At
there.
that point, do we have planned curves and gutters, or are we just?
It's just shoulder
They're
there.
just shoulder, okay, so we shouldn't have a problem there then, okay, that's fine.
It's a wide shoulder?
Yeah, okay, good,
5 footer.
yeah, because I mean, in that particular spot that it falls off the edge of the road anyway.
So there being no other questions or comments from the board, thank you for being here, all of you, to bring this to us. I do think that I think it's the board would like to see some information about the impact on traffic flow as a result of installing this pedestrian. So if you could have your engineers, provide our staff that information, that would be helpful. I'm assuming you would probably want a decision from the board prior to the start of the project, which, as the road manager mentioned, is going to be after the school. So we have a little bit of time here. So I think that study, review, whatever we want to call it, would be helpful to us. So thank you very much for being here.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
They promised my mom a power driveway, something.
All right.
More afraid of her.
Thank you.
You have a little extra time.
You can swing mine, do mine or wait.
Again, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all of you being here. All right, next item is the consent calendar. Kylie.
Consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Request by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item or on the agenda. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action, adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items to be adopted. 1 minute, 2 payroll, 3 accounts payable, 4 financial reports, and 5 communications.
Okay, thank you. Do any member of the board wish to remove any item from the consent calendar? There's one member of the public on that. Do any member of the public wish to remove any item from the consent calendar? Okay, roll call, please. Oh, I entertain a motion. Sorry.
I'll make a
Sorry.
motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Corn, support by Commissioner Beaman to approve the consent calendar. Roll call.
Support. Yeah.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Okay, next item is D, staff report. Do any commissioners have any question regarding the staff report, which is on, begins on page 58 of your packet? This is not a question, but it's a comment. I saw that we issued 699 right-of-way and drive permits in 2024, which was 4 permits lower than 2023. That's a lot, Bob. And 26, I mean, do we have a breakdown of how many were residential versus commercial? Just trying to, and also, are there certain townships where they're more? Just trying to get an idea where the growth is happening in the county, you know,
Yeah, we could probably break that down.
that would be usable.
I usually break it down each month, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want it each month. I'm just thinking that might be helpful to the board to see just, you know, how many residential, commercial, and where the highest numbers are, just to give us an idea where, you know, the development is occurring. This is a follow-up from a discussion that we had at the last meeting, the Logan Valley Drive Racket Club, SAD. I know there was some discussion about higher estimates, and I know there was some issue you were talking about. So it looks like, if I'm understanding correctly, that the SAD has been established using the highest.
Use the high number.
Did something change? I thought they were asking for another review, or there was something that was happening at the last meeting.
They established this, they do higher number.
That's all.
The township requested it to be at the higher number.
Okay, all right.
Because it's a different bill, correct?
Yeah, they use it completely different.
They're gonna go nothing. They're gonna go subsurface on that.
When we were gonna do a crush and shape.
Yeah.
Muck it out.
We were looking at that, trying to get down into the swamp, and they were looking at like
Going this one.
going through the swamp.
No, so dirt. Great fertilizer.
Any questions on the staff report? Okay. Being none, item E, commissioner updates on any meeting within the last month. So, Commissioner Paul, you attended East Bay Township.
Larry and I went to East Bay Township. Yeah, Larry did the report, talked about town line. Beth mentioned it tonight, so just, you know, he gave them a little idea of the smaller scope that we had put into the budget. And I attended the Peninsula meeting, but that's Alan, so we
Yeah.
can talk about it. And that was it.
So Commissioner Lehman, DNR vote and Garfield. Let's start with the DNR.
Yeah.
The DNR vote thing, I was fairly impressed. The
I
lady
was too.
Casey from
Yeah.
the DNR was there, sat in the back, listened. The citizens spoke, they want to cooperate with the DNR. They don't want the entrance, the exit on our road. And I think they're gonna meet again and again and again. I think Maura is super qualified. I really like her. I think our relationships keep improving with Peninsula Township. And I hope they come up with the right fix, and they haven't asked us for anything else since that. Eric, we haven't, no. And I was real pleased how they're doing. They're also working on some road end stuff, which we've talked about. I brought to you before. The road end traffic, they're not parked, they're not beaches, they're access. And they're gonna ask us, they're gonna have an ordinance probably in place later this spring. They're gonna ask us to put some signs up and do things that the road commission does. Not police. They know that we don't have police powers, and but we accept what state law is, and we're gonna help them work their way towards having those road ends used toward the responsible thing. Now, I did attend the Garfield Township meeting last Tuesday. Garfield has got, you read about the water stuff in the paper. There's gonna be some more construction because there's gonna be some more water stuff. I did encourage the Garfield Township Board, from my personal opinion, that they should ask us to abandon Logan Valley thing. I don't think we have any business in commercial dead ends. I think we should
I
be,
never thought it was a road commission road.
I
I
didn't either.
always thought it was private.
I believe we should be working on the through traffic in Traverse City. I told the board, they can do whatever they want in there.
Yeah.
They don't have to use our procedures, which are more expensive because we have to be more thorough. They can just go hire a contractor. And if they ask us and we don't get much revenue from it, they've got plowing guys in there doing all the lots, the road. Half the time they probably scrape some anyway because they're doing that's the perfect place for us to get out of. And I told the Garfield Township Board that, and I would like to circle around back and meet with Chris before they go any further on this, Dan, if you and Derek have some time. Maybe the engineering committee needs to, if from the board, but those are the kind of places that I don't think we belong anymore. I don't know why we accepted them in the first place. We can't fund stuff in there. Our staff is diverted from the time. They don't need to be diverted.
What about the public park access?
Well, they'll have to, in order for us to abandon it, we'd have to agree that we'd have to have some statement saying they could access that.
So there
infinitum.
isn't a requirement that it's a public road commission road.
I mean, it could be given up as a public, as a permanent easement or something.
It can.
And the township can, well, yeah, the township, well, if we, it wouldn't be an abandonment.
Okay.
It would, just to be clear, it would probably be more appropriately be termed as a relinquishment of jurisdiction, because we don't want to abandon
yeah.
the road.
Okay,
You know.
there's another
yeah,
way to do it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my verbiage.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. You're just saying we shouldn't be responsible for it, but it would continue to be a road, just not under our jurisdiction.
Kind of like, item H tonight, it's kind of the same.
Okay. Any?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Underwood.
Oh, I'm looking on my Twitter. One of my meetings in the township, actually I had to apologize to Mayfield because, the chairman of the board and myself kind of had a discussion back and forth for about 30 minutes or more. With them asking questions in between. There was some disinformation made, and that was that the road commission is still working on the east-west corridor and that we're looking to buy property on the Hartman side. And I said, that's absolutely false. There is no movement on that corridor. I even went so far as to say shortly after the last manager left us, you and I can't remember who else was on the phone call, and I told him to stop. And at the very next meeting, you made the motion for OHM to stop. So if you hear that out there, and I've said it at every meeting now, there is absolutely no movement on that. We have taken the knowledge from the study and looked at other projects that needed to be done anyway, like Cass Road, which we got to the MPO to do. So if you hear that out there, please correct it. We literally stopped that.
We have corrected it multiple times
Yes.
because that
So-
has been, those comments have been made at the board.
So just,
Commissioner
if you hear
level,
it, just, we stopped it.
Yeah.
Almost immediately.
I don't know how many times it has to be said, but thank you for.
Yeah, so, and it was really shortly after we changed over, we were coming back from
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Because they got to that $90 million mark, and I said, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so there's that. I did tell Kingsley we're gonna be doing their road tonight, so that's good. The Village of Fife Lake, is excited about our project in the township. They're having a little bit of issue with their Act 51 compliance, so we don't have the bandwidth here to help them, so I'm kind of helping from my old days. And then, Lisa agreed to it because chairman of the board asked me to go with him to Grant Township, so then I went to Grant Township after Fife Lake. And we kind of did a little bit of the same thing we did at Kingsland, or at Mayfield. So,
All right. Commissioner Gilman, any meetings? Nothing from me.
Can I ask just one quick question
Is it related to
about what
that?
Alan said?
Okay.
I just want to hear out loud at the meeting. Has there been an application by the DNR for the driveway permit for?
No, there was not.
We have not received one as of today. Okay,
As of today, we've never had anything from the DNR. The only thing that was ever given to us, I believe, was 2 years ago.
okay, so no communication since that meeting on the, okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Did we approve it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, all we were asked was if this design, if it meets the specs of the local road, we said we'd have to, we said we'd have to review it, we have to have something formal, but you know, off of our basic things.
They want to come on 37?
Yes, but they already.
No,
you
no,
can
no,
already
the
say-
plan, the revised plan
Yeah.
exits on East Shore.
Yeah, the revised.
One
plan
way in on
completes-
Center, one way out
Yeah,
on.
they already have one on 37, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
central- yeah.
there are other ways to rework this plan. I believe a divided entrance.
Yeah.
On 37
There's
is
a
gonna be
space
the
for
right
it.
solution.
There's space for it.
And there's not room for two driveways, it's the properties are too close, but one bigger driveway, that I think they can work this out. And I don't particularly like, if you go out there and get in your pickup truck, which you even have better sight line from a car. I don't particularly like how low East Shore Road comes in there. I mean, it's just the way the property rolls in. You actually have a better visibility pulling out on the road from the existing. Yeah, they have traffic conflicts in and out.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to boat there. It's really busy. We all understand that. But I think the East Shore Road is worse. And then I thought, if I live on East Shore Road and I can only turn right coming out of the boat ramp, how do I get back down East Shore Road? Well, then I go to the intersection, I turn left, and I go down to the fire barn, and I make a U-turn with my boat
Yeah.
and trailer through the fire barn property, and then I make another turn right coming out of there. Then I go turn right, come back down East Shore. It's a cluster.
Any sense from the DNR folks at the meeting as to how, whether they, after hearing all this public outcry, whether they are reconsidering their plans?
I believe I felt like they're they didn't know, they didn't have these concerns. They didn't develop them internally. Apparently the scope of this project, the money it was in, doesn't, under their standards, doesn't require a public hearing and notices and stuff. It's not. But in
The irony is.
but in Peninsula Township, people notice.
Yeah.
Well,
And they don't want it there. No, does everybody in Peninsula Township not like that? But if you go down there and think about getting out of there with your boat.
Yeah.
It's not advantageous from East Shore Road, I don't believe.
Yeah.
I sold boats for 20 years. I put in a lot of boats. I think that if they have time to listen. Did you guys do those plans, Joe?
Yes.
Mhm.
Can I ask Joe if they've asked him to revamp to look at the plan again?
I'm not the person working on that project. I'm not the project manager for it. So, I haven't had any conversation
Okay,
with the DNR.
I thought the lady from the DNRC, she lives in our community here.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
right,
I think she was receptive to the meeting at least, so that Larry's got it up now and. Yeah.
yeah, no, I saw, I think, yeah.
It was a very, like, it was the complete opposite of what I expected. It was so, like, I thought it was informative. I'm so glad I went and listened. Everybody was so nice. It was an official township meeting, which I didn't know. I thought it was just like a listening session or something. It was a literal board meeting with board rules in 3 minutes. You can speak and what was interesting to me was the group that was for the plan was the fishermen.
Yeah.
And the fishermen were there, and then of course residents. And while I guess you could say they were on opposite sides, I felt like everybody was on the same side. They just wanted a better boat launch. And it was just really different from what I expected. And I'm really glad I went, because the way that I had read about it was completely not the way that it was done. And Maura was so happy to see us. Like, they were just really glad. And Dan gave them a little bit of information. You guys were going to provide some traffic counts for them, which they were really thankful for. And it was honestly like a whole different experience than I expected. And I think they're going to come to a solution.
Well, I certainly hope that the DNR listens to the people and what.
Yeah. I thought it was positive.
Okay, so commissioners' discussion. I have a question. Do we review our asset management plan? Is it this year or next year? This year. When do we start that review process?
Soon, it's due in October, so we gotta start with yours.
Okay,
We're gonna be able to incorporate the page ratings here from the summer.
the study that we did, would we be incorporating what was it? Wasn't PACE, it was the PCT?
PCI.
PCI. Would we be incorporate, because we had all that big presentation that we did here and at the county board, would we be incorporating that data, the results from that study, into when we are reviewing our asset management plan?
I think it probably should be added in.
I think so. I mean,
It's documentation for the, yeah.
it's just we relied heavily upon that data to make some projections on what it would cost to do different things with our roads.
Right.
And the reason I ask is that, I think as a board, we should be involved in, obviously, in that asset management plan review. But what I would like to ask the board is to have some start in that context, start having discussion on the local roads. We have been talking about it multiple times last year. But now is the time, I think, where we have an opportunity to actually have some serious discussions and hopefully make some decisions as to how we are going to approach those local roads. Maybe we keep our approach the same that we have been doing, or maybe we try something different or new. But I would like to start having those discussions in the next few months, because I think that is going to be, in my opinion, a matter of considerable focus by certain people in the community who have a very vested interest in those local roads. So we need to be proactive with that rather than reactive.
Are we continuing on the discussion about local roads?
We are on item F, so that's commissioner's discussion to discuss any matters. Okay, yes.
Brian McManus, who is the Mayfield representative, who we like and who's experienced and has come to work for us and is out there helping us do our job, questioned me at the Kingsley facility meeting about the funding for the local road that borders Mayfield, or the borders East Bay and Garfield. Isn't Garfield on there? Is it all East Bay? Town line?
It's 50, it's 50-50, it's both,
Yeah.
yes.
How is their funding supporting our project on the local road? Or do we just nitpick? And he's asking that since they've put their money up for their local roads, that these townships should be putting their money up. And we've agreed to we're funding it out of formula. We have our local roads policy and we're not using our policy.
And that's a great point. That is my point, is that we have to have a comprehensive look at as part of this asset management review at all these other things related to local roads, because whether we should tweak our matching formulas, our road funding formula, how focus on local roads, because the way, in my personal opinion, and this is just my opinion, the way we have been doing it is not working. And so we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. So, but yeah, I think those are the questions that I'm being asked. Those are the questions that all of us are being asked, is what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And we have to start. We have talked about it last year, but I think now we have an opportunity as part of the asset management plan to actually do something about it. And I really, that is my priority for this year.
So do you want to set up a study session sometime? Or what do you?
I think the staff has to let us know when they have the information and the data to do that, because yes, I mean, if we need to have a study session, we will schedule a study session, but
Is there, what do the other counties do? I know a lot of counties, villages per.
I wasn't here the last time. How did you guys do the last time? I wasn't on the board.
Well, we were presented with a plan.
Yeah.
It was started before me, and Bill Mauser and Jason were there, and I replied. We were presented with a plan that was gonna be a different plan.
Yeah.
But we were never presented with a funding formula. And when Dan got in there, he said, yeah, that's a really cool plan. These sneakers and stayers and majors and minors were good, but there's no plan to fund them.
Right.
It was an empty exercise.
Yeah.
We did that on corridors 14 months ago.
We can't, but I mean, going back to this, and if we sit down, we make up a policy or go through a whole set of new policies, you got to remember too, it's not all possible. It's not possible to do everything formulaic. You just can't, because there are exigent circumstances. I mean, 3 Mile Road throws a whole thing. It messes things up. So what's the answer? We got to do something with the next over, even though it's not officially the bypass road. And, I mean, yeah, so we could have some policies that are pretty standard, and Brian's not wrong. He's not wrong, but there are exigent circumstances.
Well, I mean, maybe it's how we looked at that. Maybe we have to set aside, there's these connections that we can't have too many primary roads, I guess I've been told,
Right.
whatever. The state only, are we where we need to be? Can the MPO help us realign those? Maybe our primary roads that are designated are not really our primary roads anymore.
And to Jason's point, I don't know if there are any existing policies on that. It seems like it's more of, to me, over the last years that I've been on this board, it seems like it's more of a practice. This is how we have done it, but there's no written policy governing it. So if it's a
There
practice
actually is a policy.
on the matching fund.
Yeah.
But I'm
matching.
talking about everything else.
Oh.
I'm talking about, well, we have to have this much, the standard, we have to have, for example, we have to have a primary roads at 80%. If there is a written policy on that, I'd really like to see it. Because I don't think there is one that says we have to have that. It was a board decision in the past that is what they're gonna do. Well, we're not
It was a
tied to it.
goal.
I know, but we're not tied to it.
Thought it was a
Jody, no.
TAND goal.
I think
And goals are goals.
It's in the plan.
It's a plan.
It's
You
in
wrote
the
the original
asset.
asset.
That's in the asset management plan. That's my point. Is
But it's
that
not
We're not picking on you, Joe.
Yeah.
It's not clear in the
We're not.
policy, but
We're glad you're here.
we got all the knowledge. Right.
And that's my point is these were all part of the asset management plan. And now we have an opportunity to revisit all those things and make changes where necessary. So that was my point. I just want to bring it on everyone's radar and to the staff, because I really want to have that process going so that we don't run out of time and we can have what we need to, the work sessions, special meetings, whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that whatever asset management plan we come up with in October actually addresses all these concerns that we have been talking over the past year.
My observation for the townships is, two of our smallest townships got their act together and came up with a tremendous amount of money. to
Yes.
put in there.
Yeah, Aaron Road. I mean,
So part of my attitude is the township's willing to actually work to fix the road. That's where we concentrate. None of this, you get so much money and pick out a thing. Cause those ones in Long Lake's another good one where they're pinpointing down what they want done. The ones that aren't willing to do anything and are more worried about a trail, I don't really care if we do roads in their township. Quite bluntly.
Definitely, anytime we can partner with somebody to
Yeah.
get more roads done, I think we should direct our money.
Yeah, but
But there's certain roads we definitely.
Well, there's some ones we
yeah,
have to do. There's certain ones we have. I
Like,
mean,
there's like 5 that stick out in my head just consistently that a majority of residents in the county drive on and use that are just embarrassing level of.
right.
We did talk about that when we met here with the Garfield people a couple months ago, Derek, and who else was here? The schools guy. We were talking
Oh,
about Frankie
yeah.
Road.
That's
Yeah.
obviously one of the 5.
Chuck was
Yeah.
here. No, we're looking at those things, but we need to have a plan to fund those things.
Yeah.
We
Right.
talked about a lot
Yep.
of nice dreamy ideas.
I'd like to talk about a plan to fund, and I'm just gonna say the big 5, but we know there's more, but let's just say we pick 5. And then the idea is you come up with a funding mechanism to maintain roads so that they don't get to the condition of these 5 or whatever it is. But I do think we're digging ourselves out of a bit of a hole and we need to prioritize those ones that are so heavily trafficked and are in just really bad shape. Then we say, well, we want to make sure, then we maybe categorize another group a little bit worse or a little bit less worse. And how do we maintain them so that they don't get to this? And then you just kind of work backwards. And I'm just talking about major thoroughfares. While definitely acknowledging that roads that aren't major thoroughfares deserve our time and attention too, and people live on them and they matter. But I just don't see how we can go another year without coming up with a plan for Barney, Frankie, Town Line, like.
Right.
Can't.
By major thoroughfares, just to clarify, you, non-primary major.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm talking
they're still
about-
local roads, but they're not designated,
Yeah.
they're
A
not
vast
classified.
majority of our residents drive on those roads.
Right,
Regardless of where they
absolutely.
live.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. Well, I just wanted to bring that up, because I'm gonna probably hound you about that.
They might not exactly fit in the asset management plan either. They might not be the worst roads
Yeah.
but they're roads that as commissioners, we're supposed to give our input to how this place is run and what the people are saying about the road matters. And the ones, let me just say, the ones most of the people use most of the time maybe have to have some outlier that we know that they're,
Yeah.
somehow we're gonna have to drive our community through that.
We just gotta catch up those and then make a plan so that the other ones don't get to
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna follow the same mechanism or algorithm or whatever.
And some are just to the point where, where we probably would have to do some just patchwork because they're so far deteriorated. If it's a 20 rating or failing rating, there's no amount of money that, because there's the money that we have.
Well, we're gonna do 3 mile this year. And if I heard East Bay Township right, just to the west of that, they're doing 12 houses, 12 units per acre.
Well, if you look at the future plans and some of the developments that are coming to the Hammond area, that particular stretch of road on 3 Mile could potentially look the way Lafreniere looks now in another 20
Yeah.
years as
That's what
far
I'm
as,
saying.
multifamily housing and the industrial park that's there.
Continue.
It's real similar to what's going on in Lafreniere.
All right, I think, good, yeah, we had, let's go to, item G, which is the MDOT cost participation agreement with Five Lakes / Union Township, and I believe Derek, if you have.
Yep. So this is our Five Lake Road project next year. This goes from North Village limits of Five Lake all the way to Supply Road on Five Lake Road. And the estimated cost is roughly $2,194,900. $771,000 that is federal. Nope, I'm sorry.
No, that's our part, that our part.
But that's that entire stretch from Five Lake all the way to Supply Road though.
Yes. Yep.
How long of a distance?
Roughly about 6 miles.
Oh, okay.
It's a at shoulders.
Yeah, it's a big road.
Is Five Lake Road a primary road? or
Yes.
no? It is, okay.
It's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I want to make a motion to approve resolution 2025-01-02 for the Five Lake Road overlay change.
So there's a motion from Commissioner Lehman, supported by Commissioner Gilman, to adopt resolution 2025-01-02. Any discussion on this resolution? I have one question. It says that the road commission the board of road commissioners has reviewed the agreement. I'm assuming that this is a standard agreement that we use, and we have used that same agreement in the past.
Yes, this is actually supplied by MDOT.
Okay, okay.
We don't even create.
Do we have a bid letting yet?
It is letting the 7th of February.
Okay, great. All right. Roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes. Resolution is adopted.
That's a pretty good deal for us.
The next item is item H, Kingsley Road Resolution, Paradise Township. This is a jurisdictional transfer of Kingsley Road from the Road Commission to the Village of Kingsley. So this is different than, is this the same that we were talking about last meeting, Bronson? I thought it was Bronson. Now it's
It's Kingsley Road or.
It's Bronson.
Bronson on this side of the railroad tracks, Kingley on the
People
other.
I
refer
see.
to this.
And the Paradise Township is okay with it. They're in support of it.
I talked to their village manager today. As soon as we send this resolution down tomorrow, they're gonna put it on their next meeting. They're gonna do a resolution and then they're gonna accept it and we're gonna stop fighting.
And now we get Paradise Township and they're fine.
Great. So can I have a
I'll make the
motion?
motion that we approve resolution 2025-01-03.
Motion by Commissioner Underwood, supported by Commissioner Corn to adopt resolution 2025-01-03. Any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Horn.
Yep.
Lehman,
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes. Resolution is adopted. Next item is the purchase of a very superior broom, actually, just a superior broom, not a very superior broom, but it's a very expensive broom. I mean, what does this broom do?
Yeah.
Is there a picture that I can see of this broom?
Yellow.
Does it come with a dustpan?
It comes with a blade on the front of it. It could be like as a dustpan.
What's it used for? I just.
Yeah, so we use brooms constantly on our projects. One of the main things is what we sweep all our intersections with them. All of our projects, and we do like high ridging, all those things, we're sweeping the dirt material off there. So unfortunately, they're very necessary for us, but they live in dirt and they eat dirt constantly. So you want to replace these on a decent replacement cycle. And we have one that has came up.
How old is the previous one? I mean,
There you
what's
go.
the life? Oh, there you go. Yeah, man, that's a very nice, that's a broom. Why am I call that a broom?
And it's nicely air conditioned because the operators can't stand it because of the.
The dust and everything.
Yeah.
So what's the lifespan on this? You said that they go through pretty
Oh, I had this all wrote down. I want to say we're trying to replace those every 8 years.
8 years?
We have 2 or 3.
We have 2 of them.
Okay.
They're constantly used throughout the summer.
Are you gonna keep the third one?
I know we were gonna send that one down. the
That
road.
high ridge stuff, though, was a big deal for us. So a
Uh,
lot of that work the last couple of years now.
and I would like, I would point out to Commissioner Lehman's comment at probably one of the previous meetings, this is from Sourcewell. So I thought you would, I thought that would make you a little happy, you know, because, okay, if, can I have a motion to?
I will make a motion to buy a super broom. Approve the purchase of one new Cat EP 74D Superior broom. The Sourcewell price of $94,756.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Corn, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve the purchase of 2025 DT74C Superior Broom at the Sourcewell price of $94,756. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Gilman.
Yes.
Corn. Lehman.
Yes.
Underwood. Gavin.
Yes. I mean, you did it before. A little eager there. Item,
The super broom.
yeah, you just got, item J is the 2024 auditor. And that is, Phil. Phil hasn't talked about this yet, so.
The county, put out RFPs, last year for a 3-year, and they awarded a 3-year, contract to Greenbelt, which was our current auditor.
Yeah.
And that, in their proposal, they included all of the component units, including the road commission. Their fee for us was the lowest of all 4. The second one's pretty close, and then the other 2 were
And
substantially
if I
higher.
recall, we decided to acquiesce to that
And-
simply because it just makes
And
sense.
Peter has since retired.
Yeah.
Peter had been our lead auditor, city agent, pretty much every year, and he's retired, so it's either gonna be Doug or Mike, that'll take over responsibility for the audit.
We get a good, I mean, we get a better deal
The county
by
will get like
having
a
it lumped in
$2,000
with the
discount,
county. Yeah,
and everything, because ours rolls up into their audit report.
yeah, but no, my point is like, if we want to go out and hire our own auditor, it would be cost us more,
They
right?
probably would, yeah.
Just,
What about our?
yeah, I'll just
Fiduciary
consider,
duties.
yeah, in the future, I think it's good every couple of years to have a fresh set of eyes, you know. And I've said that before, probably the last, every time we look for a new auditor, but yeah.
But I haven't even, I wanted to get your guys' opinion first, if that's what way we wanted to go, before I asked for.
We're gonna have a different head auditor.
But it'll be a different person.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with it, right?
Yeah, they do a nice job. They do several road commissions.
I also think that they are very familiar with obviously our financials, and they really helped us out in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, It really helped us out.
Really good
So,
price.
yeah, so I think that it
A lot
makes sense.
cheaper than our audit.
And if, and you have a good working relationship and obviously I have confidence in you as our finance director that you will be making sure that all the Ts are crossed and the Is
I'm
are
about
dotted.
95% there.
Yeah, so, okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll do that. Make a motion, we accept Greenville Hafner, for the amount of $15,100 for our annual 2024.
Motion by Commissioner Lee, and support by Commissioner Corn to engage Rita Bell Hefner to perform a 2024 financial statement audit at a quoted price of $15,100. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, roll call please.
Horn. Yep. Neiman.
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Chasm.
Yes, she grew up, she changed the thing, so just for you, I know that she did that. Okay, we move on to our added item, which is item K, which is the damaged signal equipment replacement at the South Airport and Cass Road intersection. You have a memo here from Larry with the prices from the vendors. Who's going to, well,
Oh, is this insurance reimbursed?
Unfortunately.
all right, Larry.
Uninsured motorists.
That's always a class. Oh, there you go.
Don't we have a,
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
We have coverage for our automobiles damage.
This is probably why.
not for other people?
Damage.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they got it pretty good, but
what they slid or what happened?
unsure. I mean, it looked like it was icy and they slid right into the cabinet. The police officer or somebody, Haley got out there pretty quick and she said, the guy said, well, somebody hit that phone box over there. And she goes, that's not a phone box.
Do we not have protective?
Like barriers, those
Yeah.
those concrete
Like
things?
bollards.
Yeah, should we? Considering that they
Bad
hit
idea.
them,
That is regular. But then on,
I know, but
Oh,
curb,
so-
yeah, curb, if someone is,
still to go over that close to the light, there's been a high.
Yeah, I suppose.
So are we going to, get somebody to file suit against this guy?
Here we send it a bill or?
the McChrystal should, well, he's uninsured, so what are you gonna get?
Well, he might have a house that we can lien.
Usually if you can't pay your insurance, the chances are that there's not
You
much
usually can't
there.
pay your insurance because you suspend your driver.
Yeah,
We don't wanna look at it?
Nah, I'm not in favor of it. It's just throwing good money after bad. Those type of things usually don't.
Does McChrystal, do they look at that automatically for us or?
They'll probably go through hand screw, but we'll have them look at it, see what our options are.
So if the person was legal and had insurance, their insurance
would-
company.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we pay it and then they reimburse us kind of thing? Okay.
Normally,
Normally, that's what happens, but yeah, here we are talking about, well, about $40,000.
see, we needed that $27,000.
So that's,
But we haven't spent it yet.
Right, well, now we're halfway, we're
40.
two-thirds of the way there.
This was a really big deal. I drove by and the police had to block off Cass Road so that they could repair it. Everybody was rerouted around. Like, there was a lot of logistics. So just a shout out to Haley and her whole crew and everybody here, because this had to have been a lot to just throw together in the middle of a snowy, wintry storm and all of that.
Was he ticketed?
I'm assuming.
Okay,
I'm assuming,
no
insurance, you know.
Yeah, for
Better been.
We go for $40,000 to like see somebody follow it, to see if the guy.
So what this gonna cost us 40 grand?
Yeah.
I know.
No, it's rough.
Yes,
Can I have a
ma'am.
question? Larry, has it been a weird
When was it?
year?
Yeah, that's right.
Larry?
A weird year.
Is it, cause like the, over here on Vernon Road, however they hit the light above the.
This morning, I found one, but I didn't.
Oh,
You're
we
feeling
get semi trucks every year, hit lights.
Cause they're.
The snow and ice builds up.
Oh,
on the
that
top
would
of
happen.
the-
Because I'm like, no.
No,
And she got all got.
Well, that, and again, like guardrails, like they're very.
Yeah, guardrails.
Same thing.
I see
We
Miller
go
Road's
after
still
their
whacked out
egress.
on that.
The difference is usually, well, tractor trailers, those freight, they're insured, so we get paid. This one, we are not insured. So they are two.
I'm showing
we are
you
going
the
with
two
Unix and-
quotes, but we're only going with the one. So what we're going with is we're going with the Unix amount of 18,023 38, and that is to purchase the actual box. Okay.
And that takes care of us.
That takes care of us, but there's some equipment inside that would damage. It's not replaceable, and then there's some that we could use again.
Okay.
The reason that we had such a good turnaround is because we had this equipment
We had a
on
spare.
site.
Yeah.
So we had a 4-hour turnaround.
So right now, we're looking to replace what we've essentially taken out off of our shelf.
Correct.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's the 18,350.
Okay.
Yep. And yeah, the 359s for the grid smart.
Yeah,
cameras.
that's the.
Detection. That's how we run our detection and run through the scuba system.
Oh, I see.
But it's very expensive processor that sits inside of the cabinet.
And that was destroyed.
It's not there.
So, but we did this last year, or a couple years back at Park Street, and it took us 4 days to get to. So it was down for 4 days.
This was super well
4
organized and yeah,
Yeah.
like I somehow ended up in the middle of it and I was really impressed with it. So yeah, make sure that you give everybody a pat on the back on that one.
I mean, the press release went out.
It did. The press
It was on
release
the
went out
radio.
on time. 911 did it. The radio did it. I was still an idiot and drove through and it got stuck and had to, but it was so well orchestrated. And I remember how in the past, these shutdowns were such a big deal for us. And it just seemed like it was so well done. So I'm sure a lot of people played a role in that. That is a good job.
Is there any appetite, Commissioner Lehman's request to have our legal look at whether there is an option here to pursue against the driver?
$8,000. Yeah.
Well, that's part of it, because we had to have some help and then our labor. and all that.
So how much is it gonna be, Larry?
I don't know altogether, but I bet you it's around probably 50, 60.
I really would like to see us have a debt collector look at the person who did this damage to our stuff. It's irresponsible for us
So
to
it
just.
will be a lawsuit. We wouldn't, because it's not a debt. It's not.
No, I know, I understand that. There are people around town who are very good at collecting money.
I think people make a choice to be uninsured, and when they do, there are consequences. And I don't think that when you're uninsured, the hospital doesn't sue you for the dollars. And that's private money and this is public money. So I kind of do agree on it, only for the fact that this seems to happen. And we don't wanna, you can never pick and choose winners and losers. So you either go after the charges on everybody that's uninsured. You don't decide one case is more serious than the other.
Well, it could be based upon the expense too, right? I mean, if it's like $2,000, then
Agreed.
we are not gonna hire. an
Yeah, so
attorney.
maybe there's a threshold.
Yeah, but $50,000.
Uninsured damage to our thing, that would be our policy.
Yeah, I agree with you. It wouldn't be.
That we expect to get paid.
I don't understand why we don't have
people
coverage for this.
I don't think it hurts to ask.
Legal.
I don't
Let them
think-
pursue this.
And
I
then
mean,
if they say there's a.
do we not have a way to make a claim?
Why is there no coverage? Yeah,
We're not covered by this.
I know, but I'm trying to figure out why. What's different about this one?
Since it's in a right of way and this kind of stuff happens, like it's our physical equipment, our people is open for some
So
insurance.
we didn't cause the damage. Wouldn't we want to have insurance coverage on our equipment that's in the right of way?
Our physical equipment.
I mean, I would imagine that would be the time we would want to have insurance on that, because that's the only time they're gonna get.
I definitely think we should ask.
I mean, that's a lot of exposure we have out there. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This-
Is there a way to look?
It's not the
ask
first time this
Chris
has happened
to
either.
See whether there's an option.
Again, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not something that Chris,
No, Microsoft only does physical damage on our bill.
we would probably have to look for a third party.
I think we should look into that then.
Have you talked to them?
All
I mean, I realize,
Not yet.
okay,
We were
I would
still
think we
gathering-
talk to them.
We were still getting our customers. They're gonna be.
Because
tested
it's still our
on
assets,
components.
you know, and I guess, I mean,
Well, like if somebody, if you're,
they should be chasing the people.
yeah, if there's tools, do we have some sort of like tool coverage? Like I have this shop and we have it's not the building, but it's tools. Do we have ancillary coverages that might cover
Absolutely.
things that are our property, but maybe not necessarily here? If we don't, maybe we should, depending on the cost. And I do think the people who damage our facilities, who damage the public's property, should be responsible. I don't care if we have to have 100-year plan.
So McChrysip provides no coverage, so I don't,
Well,
I need, they are not going to cover this. So there's no way, there's no sense in going to them to say, are you gonna do it? Because there is
I mean,
no
they
coverage.
do a collection. They,
Yeah, They, they,
pursue it.
so what we need to look into, in addition to the legal option here, is we need to look for options to cover our equipment that McChrysip is not covering. Because we can't leave it exposed. That's a lot of exposure out there.
And people do seem to hit our. like,
Yeah, so I don't know why
I need a McChrysip Part C.
I don't
The
understand.
donut hole.
I'm surprised because I didn't know this, that we have all this equipment in the right of way that is uninsured.
Yeah.
That makes no sense
This
whatsoever.
was a learning lesson for myself.
Yeah, no. This
We're gonna
is,
have to insure our bridges and.
Yeah.
well, there's a fine line between insuring bridges and insuring our
Well,
equipment
they're
that's
gonna
sitting in
have
the
to
right of way.
identify the exposures they're gonna be insuring.
Yeah, our equipment that's within a right of way.
This is why I was asking about rectangle rapidly blinking light, like, what do we own? Who has the liability for the maintenance or repair of it? If somebody
somebody
flies
gets hit.
up 3 Mile Road and runs into the rapidly rectangle light, do we pay for that? Like,
Oftentimes, if it's insurance, if they're insured, they pay
they
the.
pay for
It's
it.
one of these situations where
Yeah.
if they're not insured, then we are on
So
the
this
hook.
is a great learning opportunity,
Like Delaware Park, Long Lake Township pays for that.
right?
You know, we have
And
agreement.
I mean,
to
if
put it in the
somebody
permit.
slid through the intersection and hit my home, my homeowner's policy would cover it
Right.
if their car insurance doesn't, am I right?
Both,
Both.
because your home insurance will do a
And then
subrogation.
those insurance companies are gonna go after that, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
subrogation. Yeah, they'll subrogate. So
Okay.
here's the
So I
thing.
understand now.
So,
Well, we gotta take, I mean.
yeah, we'll have to
We have to
take,
do it. We have
we
to
might
do it.
have, we'll have to act on this, but then if we want to pursue other options, I would want to have that route done through motions. If you want to pursue, ask a legal counsel to pursue legal remedy against the uninsured driver, then I want
know
to.
what McChrysip says first, as far as chasing the people down, or what, again, I don't think we should be handling this stuff. That stuff should be handled by a carrier,
Our job would be whether we need to find a carrier
Right.
to cover things that.
Yeah.
Well, and I suppose we'd have to consider the annual cost of that.
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
Well,
let's-
right now, we don't have, we're
Right.
not even considering.
Let's look at some options for covering our equipment that is not insured through the person.
Okay, what kind of motion do we need to make?
So first, let's make a motion to approve to accept the quote from Unix and from Carrier and Gable, those two separate.
Those were that's the motion I just made.
Okay.
I think he did. And I think he did.
No, he just did.
I think I supported it.
Okay, yeah. I think you just did. So there's a motion by Commissioner Lehman, support by Commissioner Thorn to accept the quote from Unix in the amount of $18,023.38 for the purchase of the 16-channel IPS cabinet and the base with ground lug, along with the quote from Carrier and Gable in the amount of $18,359 for the Grid Smart GS3 processor. That's the motion. If there's no other discussion, a roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman, or Corn. Yep. Kevin.
Yes.
Now you're messing me up.
Okay, now, do we want to make a motion to direct staff to look at insurance coverage options for our uninsured right-of-way equipment?
Just signal equipment.
Any equipment?
Anything within the regulation.
Yeah.
Which one? Can you give me an example of that other than like traffic light stuff, just so I.
What are these new expensive poles, the ones out at
Poles.
Long Lake Road?
Yeah.
that We paid $100,000
Yeah.
for,
Okay,
whatever.
so we're talking about something like that, like a fixture like that,
And
not
I'm
just like
And I'm
electronic.
assuming guardrails are not covered on, right?
Yeah, so far we've been lucky. And so
Yeah, so far we've been lucky.
We're.
Yeah.
No,
No, there's some that-
Yeah, we're,
Well, if it's,
Well,
unknown.
For the guardrail, replacement is, I mean,
well, if we insure it,
I feel like I'd be charged with a bill if I hit 50 grand worth of taxpayer funded something.
Because you have insurance, you're responsible.
Right, but I just mean like, what did this person just assume? Oh, I'm gonna have to pay for what I broke, like I'm not insured.
Oh, no,
No,
they wouldn't, they
they
Because
wouldn't.
I feel like I would get a bill for it and be like, yeah,
I would say,
I
I
hit
would say,
that.
okay,
like,
so that would be the motion to, direct staff to look at insurance coverage options for our uninsured right of way equipment and assets.
I'll make a motion. For that.
Is there support? Sure. Okay, motion by Commissioner Underwood, support by Commissioner Lehman, directing staff to explore insurance coverage option for our uninsured right-of-way equipment and assets. Any other discussion?
Can we have a friendly amendment to the motion to also look at, following up on people, see about collecting?
That will be a separate.
Separate, you
Yeah,
don't want
we
to.
will do a separate. You will make a motion after we adopt this motion.
No, I'm too tired to make.
Oh, it's only 8:45, 8:45. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, sir.
Jason, do you want to make that motion?
You-
To have, direct staff to look at, recovering from
Legal options for recovering the
costs
Specifically for
for
this,
uninsured from the type of damage to our property.
including the one for cash.
Yeah.
oh my God.
Especially for the one.
Yeah, okay.
So explore options, for the purpose of collecting, from those who damage road commission property,
Including
including
cash and,
our Cass and South Airport, damage.
okay. Who's supporting that motion?
I will.
Okay, okay,
One
Commissioner,
of us.
support by Commissioner Gilman. So motion by Commissioner Gilman, support by Commissioner Horn to direct staff to explore collection options from people who cause damage to our right-of-way equipment, including damage caused to the equipment on the Cass Road and South Airport Road. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. We have a couple of directions. Okay,
So crazy.
all right, that's good. Next item is informational items, manager's comments.
Unfortunately, tonight will be Derek's last meeting.
Okay,
Gonna be moving on.
right, Derek?
Wish him the best of luck. Appreciate everything he's done for us.
Okay,
Yeah.
where,
Just have to stop beating them up.
Oh,
I know, you know?
if you feel
We
comfortable,
never hit him with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Derek, if may I ask where you're going, or is that a secret? Oh.
I was
Oh.
gonna.
Okay.
You'll
Well,
come back and visit us.
He gets a Christmas bonus or something for recruitment, right? I mean,
You're
that's
going,
what's
you're
going on
going
here.
to come back and visit us then?
I see
That's
what's going on.
fine. Okay.
So, not far.
Well, good luck.
Well,
Good,
Right,
correct.
Derek, thank you for your service at the road commission. We appreciate it, and best of luck to you in the future.
Welcome to state employment.
yeah, well,
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's an important
welcome back.
We did list the position today, but in the interim, Joe's here tonight. Joe's gonna step in. He's gonna come in one day a week and help keep us on track. He's gonna be our
Interim.
interim engineer.
Make up for recruiting our people here.
So Joe, are you
Company.
with the road commission? Where's your, who are you
Joe,
with, right?
Joe worked with us for several years.
Right, yeah.
He's actually held the position before as interim.
So are you with MDOT now?
No, I'm at Wake Trip.
Yeah,
Okay, wait, trip.
he went private.
Yeah.
That's why he can be a consultant.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a sole source, and we do have a contract with Wade Trim, the as needed services.
Alright.
So the
And you said the position has been posted?
the position was posted today.
I saw it.
Yeah, definitely. Couple of things, I attended my first ever Paul Bunyan Group Manager Lunch. That's something that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Where was that at?
that was in Cadillac at Burke's, at Cadillac West. So everybody got together and had lunch and talked for a couple hours.
Hopefully they all had good things to say about the Grand Traverse County Road Commission.
Sure.
You don't have to, yeah. I knew it. I was very confident.
Yeah. But no, it's something, I'm gonna start to try to do a little more often. They were asking that I don't come, but. I'm gonna start trying to make it down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
the old Kingsley building has officially been listed, and we actually had our first showing today, and are expecting an offer tomorrow on the building. Wow.
614.9,
I thought it
is that
was,
what I
I
saw?
thought it was about fair.
Yeah.
614.9.
Yeah, that's what our list price was for.
Great.
Yep.
Good.
I did meet with the drain commissioner here recently. Probably remember out in Acme Township, we had those easements they wanted to step. That's all taken care of now. Going to take for signed on
Okay.
that. Also had a meeting with Colton Place Recycling Paving. We talked about that a little bit,
Yep.
getting into that. So just basic stuff, had a little presentation. We're not sure, it might not be exactly what we're thinking it's gonna be, but at least we're starting to explore some options.
Nice.
Well, it gives us some options, insofar as some of our. The not so busy replacement, but that has a lot of mileage, you know, to do, maybe it's something that will work really good for us.
Isn't that the option that the guy who you invited, he said that that was
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah, he
more
threw that out,
cost
yeah.
efficient options?
He was, clearly he was advocating.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry.
The other big thing that we did was, believe it or not, we invited OSHA in. They have a training division and we are.
You invited them?
We invited them. We invited them.
They've never been invited anywhere.
I mean, they would be like, are you?
It's like the IRS. Nobody invites
If you invite them, they will not ticket you. They'll just walk through your entire facility, give you some recommendations.
I see.
We told them
Good idea.
our safety program, we're getting up. They're really excited. They're gonna start to attend some of our safety meetings, help us do training, walking through the whole building, and they were very surprised at how well the building is kept up, where we were at. Found a couple of suggestions, nothing that would have been a major write-up. They said out of, there's two gentlemen, one has 20 road commissions, the other one has another 20. They said this was the best road commission they've been through yet, and the least amount of issues they found. They were very impressed. So that was great. Those were a big thing for our
Yeah.
safety committee. We're excited. They said they're gonna come back next month and look at those suggestions we had made, and they're gonna help us with some safeties.
Good.
So,
You wanna be
I know,
friends with those?
crazy to say. We invited OSHA, but it went well. They were.
Good idea.
They were
Better invite OSHA than the goddess of compensation, so.
That's it. All right. Any questions for Dan? Okay. Item B, commissioners' comments, questions, and future agenda items. I'll start with Commissioner Lee. Good. All right, thank you. All right,
Just a reminder, February 3rd is when they're gonna cut off 72. For the,
Oh, yeah, they changed.
Right.
it.
for,
right.
construction.
Yeah, the fifth, I will be down at the county board. Thank you.
Yep.
Actually,
Who is planning on attending that with? Joe is? February 5th, okay. Yeah, I'm in mediation all day.
that actually reminds me, I did have a concern. The published route that you sent out, Cedar Run Road. And I mean, clearly, there's gonna be a lot of traffic on Cedar Run Road. Do we have any expectation of wear and tear? Are we gonna fare afterwards? I mean, you know, we talk about Barney Road. Cedar Run's on the same hill. You know, I mean, it's the geology is pretty much the same.
Yeah, we did talk to them, they said since it's not them doing it. Someone else, they're not a stance to put any funding towards the road.
You're down Cadillac, right?
You know, I nagged about this last meeting about funding about this.
Yeah.
They just assumed they can do it, and because MDOT didn't properly consult with the utilities, they didn't have money in the budget for this plan. But their poor planning shouldn't help destroy our roads that the county taxpayers pay for. And I believe we should put a fee on it, so the permit fee for this is $422,000.
Set up towboats.
I don't believe we should because MDOT said that we are not detouring traffic. There's no need to use the county roads.
Did they need a permit for us?
To do utility.
To put signs up on our roads
You know,
for detours, they need permission.
Right.
I think I'm not gonna argue that DPE and crew made the decision to do what they're doing.
The DTE request a permit for us to put those signs.
It's a stage on the street.
But obviously, I'm assuming that it's a set, some standards and rules you look at that.
Do we know why?
We don't look at wear and tear caused by the detour as part of our permit review.
You could, I don't know why you would determine that before the fact.
Well,
Well,
we look at, we're getting Gonder Road and Riley Road repaved.
Yeah.
When MDOT properly looked at the intersection at Interlochen. We're getting how many miles of road repaved there?
4 or 5.
For a project because they took an advantage. We need to detour this traffic because they made a mistake at M22 and M72. It should not mean they should not be responsible for their mistakes.
I agree with you. I think that we should be compensated. We should find a way to get compensated for when, for detouring traffic on our road. Regardless of whether it's an official detour from MDOT or someone else's detour. Obviously, that ship has sailed now for now, this project, so I guess we can, but for the future, I think that we should.
Send a letter, I mean, not that we got anything, but maybe send a letter to the elected officials.
Yeah, I think,
Requesting help and.
I think
tear
that'd
on
be
the
appropriate.
project.
Well, considering that, I always find it amazing that our county board is willing to entertain a couple of $100,000 for homeless projects, for parks, things like that. But boy, when the road commission goes to the road county for any help, we are told that we have to meet certain criteria and standards, and I just don't know why we are treated differently.
I don't think it would hurt, at least we're asking for,
I
This
think-
is something
I
that
think
came
a
up
letter to
after
both
the
of them,
project
both the representatives,
and the state senator.
and state senator, I think that.
Quite honestly, the governor may not go back from it. I just, at least because you're like, their project changed its scope. We had nothing to say about it.
I would be willing to work with somebody on crafting this letter if you guys would agree to it.
You want a motion or do we just? Just gonna do it.
I'll craft something, I'll give it to you, I'll just see if it'll work, and then you can pass
Oh,
it on.
good.
So that I understand, we're just
Okay.
talking about, are we talking about assistance for the wear and tear on the county roads because of this utility project or because of the project
Well,
holistically?
Although the utility project was necessitated by the MDOT.
An error,
Right.
right?
And I don't know if it's an error, but it was, they at some point.
It was an
MDOT
unexpected.
Yeah, MDOT decided at some point
They
that,
had to ask the utilities. They have
yeah,
pre-construction meetings.
Yeah.
You guys have done this. I mean, the utilities are involved in the project design.
yeah, they were not told. They were given very short notice.
Yeah.
From speaking with the DTE, they said that they were told, they were given, the MDOT basically came and decided that those utilities had to be relocated.
So MDOT actually made the decision
Yeah.
to, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, little things like
Project up
that.
a year.
Huh?
I believe MDOT moved the whole project up a year.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
really put everything.
But it was MDOT who told DTE, the utility companies,
Basically, you have to have it done by the end of March or something.
and that you have to
I
relocate.
remember,
Yeah.
but the compensation we're seeking is because of wear and tear on county roads for the holistic project?
Well, so, no,
or
okay.
specifically the utility?
Specifically,
For this.
it's specifically for the utilities,
Okay.
because when MDOT is doing the actual project itself, they're still gonna have traffic going through there.
That is correct.
Supposedly, supposedly.
Yeah.
So in this project, it's literally gonna be cut off.
That is
So
correct.
every car that would go down through M22 onto the Grandview Parkway from Leelanau County, every single car,
72.
or M70, well,
72. The 22 traffic is going through.
It's
is the 22 project, check. okay,
Yeah.
okay. So everything that's coming down 72 is coming down Cedar Run Road.
Correct.
So the
For
thing
4
is.
weeks.
For
It's about a 4 week.
maximum of 4 weeks. It is disingenuous for MDOT to argue that they are not the cause of the detour because they are the cause of the detour.
Do we have any?
They told the utility companies that they have to relocate because of their project. The utility companies did not voluntarily decide to relocate.
Do we have any traffic counts for M72?
I can find them.
Yeah, if you could give us, that'd be very helpful.
In talking to them, they did kind of mention there is give and take, that sometimes we do a project and it forces more traffic onto the state, just.
And here's the thing.
Their stance, just say.
It is still possible that once the project starts or gets closed, that Grandview Parkway could also be completely closed, depending on what Elmer comes up with and says, if Elmer goes to MDOT and says it's not safe for us to operate while traffic is moving, they may close it.
And you've already got it detoured. You might as well just keep it detoured.
So then MDOT would have to compensate us, but that's not a given.
Is the
Obviously,
yellow
it's-
gray road?
Cedar Run.
This.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Cedar
great.
Run And,
Great.
That's
That's great, right?
correct, that's great, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
And
I
then
do. That's Tilton, isn't it?
Tilton,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see my house.
And then Tilton intersection.
So I'm like, I know
There's some
these roads.
really bad intersections.
Yeah, we really,
There's a
really
traffic
need to
light.
get that Hilton swapped out.
So-
For our
For good,
for good, yeah.
So what they're saying is because the project itself doesn't allegedly shut the roads down entirely, there is no set detour on a county road for the project.
Right.
So
Right.
there was no negotiated compensation because there was no set detour. And then this project kind of popped up and we found out that there would be a set detour. But I guess what I don't know, lack of experience is it traditionally done that you negotiate for compensation when there's a set detour on a county road?
Yeah.
But I do hear what Dan's saying too, that there is some give and take because there are probably times where we reroute traffic through to a state highway.
It's never gonna be to the level. I mean, there's a reason they're state highways and they're highways. I mean, they're not. You drive highways, right, they're designed for heavy traffic.
Okay.
We're designed.
I'm just trying to logically walk
Yeah,
through
Cedar
it.
Run Road is not designed for that. The hills, the curves for that kind of.
If you guys have a big project like this and something does change in scope where all of a sudden you are shutting down, the road completely. Traditionally, then at that point, do you negotiate a compensation?
No, it should be done beforehand.
But if you're told, well, this project is not shutting down the road, well, you wouldn't do a negotiation beforehand?
Right.
Or do you do preemptive negotiations in?
No, I think you would do it if, for example, they decide that they're gonna shut down Grandview Parkway.
Right.
At some point, right? Then at that point, there would have to be some negotiation.
Okay,
with
so
MDOT.
it's not weird to come in after a
No,
project.
because they changed it, right? They changed the scope. There was no reason to negotiate.
Just the change of
previously.
scope
Right.
precipitated,
Yeah.
okay.
And I get the point that MDOT is gonna say, well, when you guys do work on your detour, because of work on your road, you put it on our highway, we don't charge you, but to Jason's point, this is going to be a significant amount of traffic for almost a month. And
In the winter.
there's gonna be semis, there's gonna be heavy, duty vehicles. This is not just some small road that's been blocked off that traffic is being diverted, that is like of low volume. And are they still installing temporary lights at those two intersections, Tilton and Cedar Run and Gray and Cedar Run? Okay. That's gonna cause some problems.
I will say this too, it might not be a bad idea for one of us or somebody to go to the Traverse City Commission and just remind them what's about to happen to Front Street. That's an absolutely terrible thing. that's gonna happen
They've got
on
that
Front Street.
traffic,
That's gonna be nuts.
stop signs there at
Front Street.
Madison.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I go
President's
to
gonna be a
work.
mess.
Oh, it's
You
gonna be a
can't go that
disaster.
way.
You know what's a disaster? The four-way stop sign at Madison in front already.
I don't know if they're
All
gonna
that
do
traffic's
All the
gonna be backed up.
traffic is gonna do the four-way stop.
Yeah, it's gonna all come through that way.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna go?
I forgot about it, yeah.
When I found out about this, I invited Greg Burr, the emergency manager.
Yeah.
Over so that he could be aware of it. He's now kind of taking lead, sending him out there, and he had DT go down to the city, do a presentation.
Yeah, they have been
Okay,
to the.
great. I'm
gonna say
They've
great
all,
to do
they've
that.
been to
All
the.
right.
I love that stuff.
They have been to,
Right,
the-
that's
they've
right.
done
I don't
all
think they
that.
understand how bad it's gonna be.
All right.
All of that traffic is turning at the Speedway intersection with the ankle surgeon and
Yeah,
Yeah,
wowza.
theoretically, I mean, some
That is
of the
literally
people are gonna
my
take,
commute.
some of the people might take an alternate,
through the
an alternate
hospital.
out. But like, take, for
Okay.
example, hit Harris and then head out on Long Lake to go that way. if
yeah, that
was
left
your-
turn lane at Division in front,
That's.
It's
every
gonna
day for
be,
me.
it's,
Isn't that your commute too?
I will, it is, but I'll go from.
Yeah.
I'm not going that way, and that's for sure.
You know what, I'll be honest, I think that this was communicated and I think there's been a lot of press releases and I think there's been a lot of articles, but I did not put two and two together and think about the intersection at Front and Division.
Yeah,
I really didn't,
well, the city does.
so maybe a lot of people haven't either.
Any other things to discuss?
Wow.
Okay, there's no public comment. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to support.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We are adjourned.